It's termite season.
Hi, it's me.
And bugs fear the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control.
Go blue at Essential Pest Control. We'll eliminate those bugs, bees, and termites. And stop paying too much to that national provider. Buy local for great service and affordable rates. Call Essential Pest Control because termites fear the blue.
Run for your life.
Call for the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control. 886-3029. That's 886-3029. Or check online at essentialpest.com.
This is Eb Wilkinson with Wilkinson Wealth Management, where we manage money for gun owners. What does it mean to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired? It means designing a plan that allows you to do the things you want to do, outpace inflation, and never run out of money in your lifetime. If you want to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired, call me, Eb Wilkinson, at 777-1911. That's 777-1911 or WilkinsonWealthMGMT.com.
I'm proud to welcome my good friends at Tucson Iron and Metal Retail to Inside Track as an advertiser. Jamie Kipper and her staff are conservation experts. They sell round and square steel tubing, metal plate and roofing materials, as well as new and used steel, aluminum, and stainless steel to ranchers, artists, interior designers, roofers, as well as you do-it-yourselfers out there. Tucson Iron and Metal Retail is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail, 701 East 36th Street. Call 520-209-1576. That's 520-209-1576. Or go to TucsonIronRetail.com. Come by and be sure to ask for Jamie. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail. This is what conservation and repurposing is all about.
Welcome to Inside Track with Bruce Ash and Eb Wilkinson on the Live the Dream Media Network.
Hey, welcome to episode 25 of Inside Track. Bruce Ash and Eb Wilkinson coming to you live today from the Live the Dream Media Studios in Marana, Arizona. We have another action-packed show for you on Big Wednesday. Eb?
Hey, joining us directly is retired U.S. Navy Captain and NSC advisor Robert Wells. We're going to talk about some topics that might leave you a little bit unsettled, and it should. Thanks for joining us on Live the Dream Media app or watching us on X, Facebook, YouTube, and any of the other platforms. All of our shows are available 24/7 on these same platforms. To talk with us or our guests today, call 520-771-5101 or send a message to us live on Live the Dream Media Facebook site. The first half of today's show brought to you by our great friend Eric Rudin from Essential Pest Control. Call Essential to keep your home or business free from all forms of pests, insects, and weeds today. Call him at 886-3029. Bruce?
Still doing a good job for you, right?
Doing a great job.
All right.
I cannot tell you what a difference Eric's company is from other pest control companies out there. His company rocks,
and he doesn't need a bunch of old vehicles on the side of the road.
And he doesn't leave a bunch of old vehicles on the side of the road. You think they get those things fixed and running?
I think they do run.
Well, I'm sure they do, but the guys come along and tag.
Maybe some new paint and body work. Yeah. Anyway, before we get rolling, a couple of quick announcements and requests. If your Tucson City election mail-in ballots are still sitting on your coffee table, I'll ask you again, why? If you want to make a difference in Tucson, grab a pen and vote for Janet Wittenbreaker and Jake Tolkoff in the city council. Now, despite what Christy Simone says, my bestie friend, Chris, this is a consequential election if you live within the city limits of Tucson. And it's not a fait accompli, okay? The Democrats don't have to win. There are not going to be that many people voting in this election. Show up. It could be decided by 200 or 300 votes, and your vote could make a big, big difference.
And it not only affects the people who live in the city, it affects the people who have businesses in the city.
Sure. Well, and everything that surrounds it, okay, it's all influenced by it. While you're at it, vote against that lame brain Prop 217.
417.
I'm sorry, 417. Prop 417. Vote no against the mayor's general plan update. So they claim that general plan has been vetted with the citizens and all this community-wide work. That's a bunch of BS. They walk into a meeting. I mean, Jay Tolkoff has told me this on more than one occasion. They walk into a meeting and they say, "Well, this is what the city wants to do. You like that, don't you?" And that's their nature of getting consensus. One last mention as far as this kind of stuff, our friend Onita Davis will be joining us soon to collect wreaths for America. Chris, Ebb, and I support her, and all of us hope you will too this holiday season. One more thing, my friend Jeff Katz just opened a new Truland Burger at Crossroads Festival at Grant and Swan. We went there the other day. I swear, I thought it was like in a big city, in a big prosperous city. This place is gorgeous. I had the best burger. Now, I'm an In-N-Out guy, okay? You might be too. You live in California,
So
right?
where's this place at?
It's in Crossroads Festival.
Which is?
Grant and Swan.
Okay.
It's where the old Smash Burger and those guys were. And he kills
I hope they clean the grills.
I'm sure they do.
Okay. No, they did. Did they keep the old grills?
No.
Okay.
All new stuff. And,
good.
And so I sat with Jeff and his wife there the other day. The care and attention that he's given to hiring and the care and attention he's given to training.
That's good.
Is just, it's beyond compare. I mean, he really has done a great job making sure that the experience there is nice. I wanted to have a new place where we could go with the grandkids and they could run around, right, and not be a pest. Great place for family and great place just if you're looking to get a quick burger and a glass of brew. So that's it for the announcements.
I will absolutely go there.
Yeah, Ebb and I are pleased to welcome our first and only guest today, our contributor on all things national security, foreign affairs, and the future of things as well, retired U.S. Navy Captain Robert Wells. Former NSC advisor, as Ebb pointed out. The United States has had a pretty good week this last week, haven't we? And it continues on today as well, right?
We sure have, and it's important to realize that the president and whoever staffs things at the White House, and I've been part of that as well, but they really thought through this particular tour going into Southeast Asia. Big trip, stopping in Japan, stopping in the Republic of Korea as well. Not just the nation states, Bruce, as you know, but more importantly, the organizations. And I think the president continues on his unique national security focus, and he's got the saying, economic security is national security. That's what he's doing. He went down there to the ASEAN summit in Malaysia. He also stopped in Japan, our largest trading partner in East Asia after China, but also our security foundation for the East Asia, and then finally the Republic of Korea for today's APEC summit.
And he met with the new Japanese prime minister?
He did, and this is incredible. It's very fateful, it seems. Obviously an associate of former prime minister, the late prime minister Shinzo Abe. She's part of the Liberal Democratic Party, and Sanae Takaichi is her name.
Easy for you to say.
That's right. But Ms. Takaichi is a leader of the LDP.
Is she the first female PM?
First female prime minister. Very, very historic in Japan. Also, she's, I would say, a hawk. Certainly, Mr. Abe was also looking at a better defense policy for Japan. They have a great Navy. They have a great national security relationship with the United States, security cooperation relationship. So she's underscoring that as well. From everything I've seen over the last 3 days, it's been a tremendously successful visit, very important between the United States and Japan.
So describe Japan's role, or I said that the wrong way. Describe the United States' role as a protectorate for Japan and for all the world in East Asia, but their role in protecting us as well.
Yes. Well, the United States since 1960 has had the most important security cooperation agreement between our two nations themselves. They allow us to home port carrier strike group, also allow us to support an amphibious ready group in Sasebo, Japan. And then we have intelligence, INW facilities up and down the island of Japan.
What's INW?
Intelligence and warnings, just basically being able to anticipate when somebody has the intent to do something. It could be posturing forces around islands in the region itself. But the other part of your question is, what does Japan do for the United States? And that is in terms of ever since the end of World War II, ever since Douglas MacArthur was with Japan, established the MacArthur Constitution.
It's interesting that you described it when we were talking before the show.
Yes.
The MacArthur Constitution. I'd never heard it stated so completely that way. We've talked about a new constitution there, post-war, but he had a tremendous impact on that constitution, correct?
He did. He was the supreme commander of the Asian powers there from Tokyo after the end of World War II. And when I went to UCLA, my professor in the graduate studies was Hans Beerwald. And Dr. Beerwald was there as part of MacArthur's G3.
Oh, boy.
So I learned a lot about the intricacies of the Japanese relationship and the development of the Liberal Democratic Party, establishing the democracy, forbidding war inside Japan. So Japan has been very much circumspect in terms of its power projection. They want to defend Japan. They have a great navy. Modern technologies provided in collaboration with the United States, Aegis capable warships, brand new helicopter carrier. It's the size of an amphibious LHA. So the relationship with Japan is mutual. We have consultations every other year with the defense and also the State Department secretary, so that we're in sync with our national security policy. The focus, obviously, is China.
Yep.
I'm just blown away with everything going on that we're seeing right now. I saw Trump get off Air Force One, dancing with the Malaysians.
Yes.
Listening to all the discussions that take place, looking at, was it like $550 million or $1 billion that Japan is going to be putting into the United States?
I think it's $550 billion.
Yeah, that's incredible. All the things that could have gone wrong just aren't going wrong. That our country is in great economic shape right now, but we've got Xi Jinping remaining a Marxist, the PRC regime totally untrustworthy. How is that going to work right now with Trump and his agenda?
Well, again, it gets into preparation, and I think if you watched what's happened with our Treasury Secretary, and
I was just going to say Scott Bessent must have been kind of masterminding in his staff what's going on right now, right?
I think so. And about 8 hours from now, Bruce and Eb, you know that President Trump will meet Xi Jinping for the first time in this administration, the second administration, but also the first time since COVID. The last time the two men met was 2019. Was during the time when President Trump surprised the Chinese with his national security strategy and focused on economic security, creating the new paradigm, for the relationship with China. So he's going to go in there, and you mentioned he's untrustworthy. He is. He's a Marxist, and he's got his own communist party that he has to manage. He's a strong leader. He's been there for, I think, 12 years now, and the points that need to be discussed and are going to be discussed, first and foremost, is fentanyl. Looking at the actual precursor chemicals that are being developed and traded across to Mexico. And we want to reduce the risk of fentanyl creation in Mexico by preventing the export of these precursors by China. And Mr. Trump has already expressed on Air Force One as he's flying to Korea today that he's looking at reducing the tariff, the fentanyl tariff, so that that issue can basically support Xi's effort to really eradicate, deeds, not words.
What can he do? I mean, because China's a big, big country with hundreds and hundreds of millions of people who live there. Mm-hmm. There've got to be labs that no government agency, no matter how intrusive and how much of a police state it is, You know that there's going to continue to be the precursor production there, don't you think?
I think so. I can't. That's why we have to be very realistic with the effectiveness of Mr. Xi and looking at can he reach all the way down into these areas that are actually developing these chemicals. We've had better intelligence over the last 7 years since they last met. Looking at the actual shipment, I think one of the shipments was profiled in Washington, D.C. By the judge in Washington, D.C., where they actually captured about 1,200 of these 55-gallon drums of the precursor off a transit ship. So we have some pretty good intelligence in terms of what's being loaded. We have manifests. We have checks with regard. This is important since the 9/11. We had the SAFE Act of 2006. We do nuclear checks of vessels coming into the United States. We have container manifests that are basically validated and better technology to validate them. So from the U.S. side, we can be somewhat of an honest broker by looking at what's being shipped out of the Chinese ports. But for Xi Jinping, he has to do a better job of enforcing. And you're right, there's so many different areas that could be manufacturing the chemicals. They don't know it all. But they do have Communist Party regional leadership and managers that can basically do on-site site inspections. They do have a customs regime inside of China as well. So they're very quick, as you know, when we say something like 100% tariffs to respond with rare earths. They're very quick with regard to
Well, do we really need their rare earths?
Yes,
Right now we do.
We can mine them in Australia. We can mine them here in America if the EPA would allow them to do so.
Well, that's a really important point. They've had a monopoly on the rare earth type of minerals, and also the manufacturer being able to manufacture the actual rare earths into magnets and different components that support avionics, et cetera. But it takes about, I always like to say 6 years, but it's going to take a while for different mining enterprises in the United States, even Australia, to establish this trade responsibility. So Mr. Trump is really helping to set the table for the future and really focusing in on this rare earth to get the manufacturing of this rare earth using the rare earth materials and different sources and supply chains. If we learned anything about the COVID impact, we've got our own supply chain challenges that need to be resolved. But right now, China has that particular area, rare earths. We have jet engines. I heard that being talked about with regard to material parts from Boeing supporting the air fleet. But Mr. Besant and the United States Treasury discussions with China are really focusing in on what we could do to mitigate the Chinese plan, since it impacted not just the United States, but Europeans, ASEAN nations. So it puts China at a point of discussion with other nations as they try to substitute the impact of the U.S. trade change in terms of policy change.
So I want to let Eb get back to some points that he wants to cover here in a second, but I want to change hemispheres if I can.
Sure.
We were talking about fentanyl.
Yes.
The drug trade, this poison that comes into our country, and parts of our country seem to be all too happy to be taking this poison on a regular basis every moment of the day, it seems. There's been lots of criticism, even from some Republicans in Congress, complaining about the strikes that the United States has made, blowing up what are obviously, clearly, drug-running little vessels off the Venezuelan coast, and so on into the Caribbean. Why shouldn't we be interdicting these? Why shouldn't we be doing everything we can to stop these malevolent dictatorships in South America and some non-dictatorial countries who don't seem to care how much trouble this causes, hundreds of thousands of deaths? I mean, we're in a war, but it's like there's still that Democratic Party that don't seem to understand that. Why? Why is this a problem?
I think the fact that we have been doing this, the war on drugs, since Barry McCaffrey, we're talking about what we did back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
The ship I deployed on, we did successful 24 interdictions of the Go Fast. The difference was our rules of engagement were to use the U.S. Coast Guard. We had law enforcement detachment teams, the JATF teams. I think we crossed the Rubicon when fentanyl became the key drug that was killing so many people. And the president made a determination to basically have these cartels that are bringing and coordinating all this fentanyl coming from Mexico primarily, but also being traded from Venezuela, Colombia in particular, and Ecuador with the submarines that they build in the mangrove swamps. He basically said these are terrorist organizations, which gives him presidential commander-in-chief authority to basically take them on and kill them on the high seas. And these are go-fast, as you mentioned. They're not fishing boats.
No.
They're loaded with fuel. They're loaded with cocaine. They're loaded with other elements, cash, that are coming in to support the cartel network. So by determining this with the cartel networks and cutting the flow off, the American people want the flow of fentanyl, want the flow of drugs off once and for all. That's where we're at. And the Democrats don't see, and they're arguing about the authorization of use of military force, but the president actually has the authority under Article 2. He's the commander-in-chief, and he's just like Tom Clancy. It's a clear and present danger.
Right.
It's hurting our future. It's hurting our children and our grandchildren. We don't want this stuff in our country, and we're killing the people that are transporting it by sea. And if you've seen also, Bruce, the redeployment of naval forces.
Just to say,
Gerald Ford got redeployed.
Is going there,
and
she's already there.
Well, she's on her way. She was coming from Croatia, and she's going through the Gibraltar Strait. But we do have the Iwo Jima. We have the Argmu down distributed there. I think Marco Rubio has done an outstanding job as our Secretary of State with regard to his ability not only to speak the language Spanish, but also to communicate American interest, working with
understanding the culture,
understanding the culture, and understanding. Right. Yeah, and he's been to Ecuador. He's talked with Mexican president. You don't hear as much from Mexico. It's interesting, but it's going along. But you're seeing quite a buildup here for the INW. You know, who's who in the zoo, and also where's this stuff coming from in Venezuela and the border area of Colombia, Venezuela. Also, if you look at Ecuador, they're the ones that actually manufacture the submarines that put the cocaine in, and they sunk one of them the other day. Admiral Stavridis, a former Southcom commander, recently discussed on Bloomberg the reason why we're having such a significant military buildup in the U.S. Southern Command, Southcom, which he commanded 10 years ago, is that we're looking at all options on the table to support maybe something like a restore democracy in Panama, when the United States went in with President Bush, 41. So Maduro, and today's Wall Street Journal's got a full-page editorial about President-elect Machado from Venezuela.
So you've got the war on drugs still going strong, blowing out the go-fast boats. I was reading the other day that by taking them out on the high seas, it gets rid of any complications of now we're on land and insurgent into another government. It takes out large quantities of these drugs quickly, and it's going to start putting a lot more pressure on the drug cartels. You know, they're just not going to be able to fund the things that they're needing to fund when all their products going up in smoke. But I was also
they
reading,
make so much of it, though.
Oh, sure,
It's amazing.
Sure. You know, they're catching it in oil tankers. You know, I just saw a report this morning about some of the big the fuel tankers that we see on the road, and they're cutting the ends off and pulling out kilo after kilo after kilo.
And now in pop culture, you have a series on cable, on streaming TV, Landman, where that's exactly that vehicle.
Right.
You know, the tankers are carrying all kinds of drugs out of a Texas oil field or Texas ranch and stuff. And now this season is going to be devoted, you know, to that battle with these malevolent forces.
Well, a good spokesman is Billy Bob.
Yeah,
right.
But to Ebb's point, though, too, and this is a criticism of what's happening with the Go Fast, not so much on the legal side, but also the fact that a lot of this comes in through Miami on aircraft. It comes across on trucks from Mexico. So you're looking at the pie chart and looking at where this supply chain occurs and also the organization. It's interesting to me, Bruce, since I'm a veteran of the war on drugs from the mid-1990s, how much information, how much intelligence the Drug Enforcement Agency had, the new Department of Homeland Security had, with regard to all the cities distributed in the United States that had cartel organizations. And the FBI knows this. Our government really has not did not step up to the plate with regard to reducing the risk of all this drug distribution.
Yeah.
They created different capabilities to actually have better X-ray machines to look for cash leaving the country. That was what they were trying to do to cut off the supplies. But this has been a long time coming, and I think the president and the people, the United States of the American people, support the president and what he's doing.
One of the problems with them using the aircraft is it dramatically reduces their load capability of what they can move.
Yeah.
And it makes it more expensive, more risky. Any aircraft coming in, I remember back in 1984 with the OV-10 squadron I was with, we were doing security work here on the border, not to violate the Posse Comitatus Act, but chasing down these drug planes, recording them, calling in Customs and DEA for them to do the work of, catching them.
Yeah, I owned and managed a facility in Melbourne, Florida. It was a depot for the DEA and the U.S. Air Force. It was all of the aviation supplies needed for the then war on terror in South America. Mm-hmm. And when Obama came in, that facility pretty much closed down that kind of an operation. And
it's almost as if they want this to continue.
Bingo. What do you think? I mean, is this in there? If you're a malevolent dictator wherever, Asia, South America, Africa, Europe, you name it, is the motivation not just money, but destabilization of the world through drugs? Is that a thing?
I think so. I think in national security circles, when I served in the White House, it was looked at criminal activity. And it was really benign neglect, leave that to the local governments themselves. It was a challenge. We were watching things occur in places like Guinea-Bissau, which is Portuguese West Africa, because of the supply route from Venezuela back then to Spain and also to Southern Europe. But the thing was, it just never reached the point of harm. And I think three things have really helped our situational awareness. Obviously, you've got better information flows coming from, this is post 9/11, from the Director of National Intelligence. We're reorganized in a different way. We actually have better intelligence through the National Counterterrorism Center, NCTC, which was a lesson learned from 9/11.
And Tom Clancy.
We've got FBI and CIA actually working together. That was something that's important. The second thing I think is presidential leadership. It really matters where you put your priorities. President Bush focused on obviously not taking another hit after 9/11. President Obama actually took us off the global war on terrorism with a kumbaya speech in Cairo with regard to we're better than this, et cetera.
Remember.
And that took the edge off, which impacted certain capabilities that we're not going to do.
They still paid us rent, though.
Yes, they do.
and the other side of that same building, I probably shouldn't say this.
Sure.
Was Department of State.
Okay.
It was one of the locations where they tasked reconnaissance satellites.
Yep.
And now the guy that showed me inside that room probably is no longer with the government, but I walked inside that secure room where they were doing that, and it was pretty freaking scary.
Well, the technology is the third point. It's gotten better and better with regard to the fusion of information. Everything, as you know, Bruce, is data now.
Right.
And who's who in the zoo? What is the zoo? Having AI, having algorithms, having front tables in the three-letter areas behind the green door where you're assessing information,
information,
and you're
so-
actually looking at what capability does your adversary have and what intent do they have. And this goes across the cartels. In our 9/11, post 9/11 mindset, we used to say it takes a network to defeat a network, which means our network of intelligence, our network of people, cyber, et cetera, need to be better than the adversaries. And what's happening now in Southcom is actually we're applying the same principles to the U.S. Southern Command. It's been a long time since it's gotten this much attention.
Bob and Eb, we need to stop for a second and pay some bills for a few minutes. No channel flipping. We'll be right back with Bob Wells.
You're listening to Inside Track with Bruce Ash on the Live the Dream Media Network. Now a word from our sponsor.
It's termite season.
Hi, it's me.
And bugs fear the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control.
Go blue at Essential Pest Control. We'll eliminate those bugs, bees, and termites. And stop paying too much to that national provider. Buy local for great service and affordable rates. Call Essential Pest Control because termites fear the blue.
Run for your life.
Call for the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control. 886-3029. That's 886-3029. Or check online at essentialpest.com.
This is Eb Wilkinson with Wilkinson Wealth Management, where we manage money for gun owners. What does it mean to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired? It means designing a plan that allows you to do the things you want to do, outpace inflation, and never run out of money in your lifetime. If you want to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired, call me, Eb Wilkinson, at 777-1911. That's 777-1911 or WilkinsonWealthMGMT.com.
I'm proud to welcome my good friends at Tucson Iron and Metal Retail to Inside Track as an advertiser. Jamie Kipper and her staff are conservation experts. They sell round and square steel tubing, metal plate and roofing materials, as well as new and used steel, aluminum, and stainless steel to ranchers, artists, interior designers, roofers, as well as you do-it-yourselfers out there. Tucson Iron and Metal Retail is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail, 701 East 36th Street. Call 520-209-1576. That's 520-209-1576. Or go to TucsonIronRetail.com. Come by and be sure to ask for Jamie. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail. This is what conservation and repurposing is all about.
Welcome back to Inside Track with Bruce Ash on the Live the Dream Media Network. Now back to our show.
All right, we're back. We were just talking about during the break, all the things that are going on. Eb, you had a specific line that you wanted to discuss.
So we're to the point now where, as Bob said, we're not going to take it anymore. That the president put his foot down. He says, we're not going to take it anymore. One of the things that's really cool is he's keeping his word on so many of these things. The problem that I see is, although we're not going to take it anymore, we've got government leaders that want this to continue.
Inside the administration, or
no, not inside the administration.
The other party?
Look at Tucson. Look at Regina Romero, whatever her name pronunciation is. She's doing nothing to clean up the fentanyl trade, the stabbings at the bus stops. You know, she wants this to continue. It would be easy to stop it.
There is a war going on in the United States. And the war is on our streets, where you find casualties every day, okay? And unfortunately, in a place like Tucson, there's not enough police activity, or not enough police period, to enforce stuff and to save lives. But moreover, in places like Chicago, and actually I just saw the thing in California, they want to pass a law where ICE has to check in with them on a regular basis.
I saw that.
To let them know what's going on. and there's open nullification of federal law that's going on. So there is a war going on here as well.
You've got these mayors, you've got these governors that are absolutely doing everything they can to interfere with the capture of these not just illegal aliens, but these downright criminals, murderers, rapists, child molesters. Oh no, let him go. He just needs a hug. No, we're going to give him a hug.
Well,
they're deliberately interfering.
The pendulum has to shift back, and the president is actually leading this, but it gets back to the fundamental principle. It takes a network to defeat a network. This law enforcement flouting of the law itself is President Trump, and also looking at the organization in the FBI, also the Department of Homeland Security, is trying to basically keep moving the pendulum back to reestablish law and order. You need more policemen. You need more intelligence. You need more cooperation. You can see where there's been cooperation. For example, Washington, D.C., obviously it's federal domain, but things have improved there.
And they fought him there as well.
They did.
Trying to make it difficult in the place that the president and the Congress actually does have some authority, even though there is home rule there.
Everyone's got a hometown. I've got a hometown in California, and it's been impacted by the same flouting of the law, the lack of cooperation with law enforcement. My home state of California, if you're looking at San Francisco in particular, it's had a long period of time where they've actually not been consistent in their law enforcement, and things have gotten out of control. We've got a new mayor there now. He talked with the president with regard to—
And a number of other leaders within that town, all of them kind of in a concerted sort of a way.
That's right.
Talking with the president, and the president and his crew talking with them as well. And they've decided to delay imposition of federal assistance there, right?
That's
at least
right.
for the time being.
But you don't know what you don't know, Bruce. And you've got situational awareness, public policy leaders that really don't know. They may, because they haven't been listening.
Right.
You ask, why does this always happen? Let the DEA, let Homeland Security, let your local leaders, your sheriffs, your law enforcement hear their voice again with regard to supporting the citizens. They want safety, and that's a fundamental thing. And yes.
And to Ebb's point, though, law enforcement in these cities and counties and states may be in favor of doing this, but it's the elected officials who are opposing. And it's almost, and I don't want to make this a Trump thing, because we're here to talk about a bigger thing than the president, obviously. But it's about saying, "F you, Trump." We want you to be a failure. When it's going to be a failure, whether it's for that country someplace or a town or a county or a state, right?
We want the United States people
to be the United States.
To be the United States. Yes.
But when you have mayors openly defying the federal government coming in to take these people down, or giving them safe passage out the back of a courtroom,
right?
They're deliberately doing that. Come on, Bruce.
No, you got no argument for me.
I know, but it's
wrong.
Well, not only is it wrong,
they're law breaking just as much as the drug runner or the financier or the enablers. They are enablers for what's going on here. It's like
they're the unindicted co-conspirator.
Actually, we're going to use that. They are unindicted co-conspirators. You're absolutely right.
And why are they doing this? Because they want control. And one of the ways they can get control is by making those people dependent upon government. Take a look at the SNAP benefits. In Arizona, they talked about 12% of the people needing SNAP. Why do we have anybody needing SNAP, Bruce?
42 million people are going to lose their SNAP benefits, and they want, and the other side, who's part of this, budget conspiracy thing, they want to use the contingency funds within the department in order to take care of the problem that they started to begin with. It's mind blowing.
I get the little old lady who has no money. I don't get the guys that are taking these EBT cards for $4,000 worth, selling them for $1,000 in New York City and Chicago, to get the cash. Those things, bad news. Don't do it. I don't get being able to buy soda. I don't get being able to buy candy bars.
Don't say chips. Don't say chips.
I don't
You
get
need
being able to buy chips. But you take a look at this. The other thing is, we talked about economic control at the beginning of the show. If nobody depends on government, then they have more control than ever before, and the government has less control than ever before. If, like, the government's been shut down, I don't notice it.
Right.
I don't depend on government. I want to make sure that everybody out there gets to the point that they don't need SNAP benefits, that they don't need to depend on the government.
Well, that's our position as Republicans,
Right.
not necessarily the same on the other side.
Because they want control.
Right.
It's slavery at a different level, Bruce. It's economic slavery. Prove me wrong.
I can't.
Yeah.
Over this past weekend, a film premiered on Netflix called A House Full of Dynamite.
I've heard of that, yes.
And we were talking about I&W. The show starts out, they're in the Situation Room in the basement of the White House, or wherever that room is.
It wouldn't be in the White House.
Okay, there's someplace. Okay,
Yes.
they portray it in the basement of the White House.
It was in the East Wing. No, I'm just.
And it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and one of those listening posts in Japan, bing, 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 on the big world map, that, again, this is a movie presentation, so I don't know if it's accurate to that room. You may know better than I, and you don't need to tell us what it looks like. You could find yourself in a problem with the feds. But it shows that there is a rogue missile launch, probably from a submerged submarine, somewhere off the coast of North Korea. And it's that next 17 and a half minutes, because it's a hypersonic, in terms of what's going on and all of the things that go into hitting that missile. They called it hitting a bullet, hitting a speeding bullet with a bullet. How you've provided us a lot of information about anti-missile capabilities. If there's one missile that comes in, okay, what's the probability of it being taken out? But what if there's 100 missiles coming in to a variety of different targets? What kind of capability do we have in the I&W in East Asia, as well as en route to the United States, to prevent a missile attack from killing hundreds of millions of Americans?
Well, certainly this movie has captured the imagination of many people, I think.
I think you're right.
I also think that we're a long way from, Star Wars 1983. We've got tremendous capability. On I&W, it all gets back to capability and intent, understanding they are developing capabilities. Now, for the Chinese, also DPRK, the Russians are a Pacific power as well. They all have these new intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities that are, supersonic. We would have to have good I&W for just the one or the two in order for us to have defensive capabilities postured. We'd need to have, for example, standard missile SM-3 XO altitude capability on ships offshore in the vicinity of the boost phase. There's three phases: the boost, the cruise, and the terminal.
Right.
So for 100 missiles, Bruce, we would monitor, obviously, all these cruise phase ICBMs coming toward Hawaii would be probably a logical area to knock out the Pacific capabilities, or certainly coming across to Alaska, a little further, getting to the West Coast. But we'd have to discriminate. We'd have to have lots of ships. We'd have to have ground launch ballistic missiles, which we do have capability. We test them out at Kwajalein. We have different ICBM launches that come off of Vandenberg Air Force Base, and they land in Kwajalein, certainly. But we're not there yet for a multiple ICBM launch. We are there with regard to the shorter packages. We'd have to really evaluate what the trajectory is. Like, for example, the North Koreans are testing their new ICBMs off of trying to get to Hawaii or trying to have that ICBM capability. But
it was a few years ago.
Yeah, that was.
We were concerned when the North Korean testing of some ballistic missiles
That's right.
was falling in the Sea of Japan.
Right.
Now they're trying to develop hypersonic vehicles that can go at amazing speeds. I think they said 2 miles a second is how fast they're going. How even a little vassal state like North Korea,
right,
able to do this? That's pretty frightening.
It is, and the Chinese they're helping them with the new 41 series ICBM right, and the glide capability. I think overall, for the larger strategic goal of China, of the North Koreans, is what they used to call, and they still call, anti-access area denial, A2AD, which means that we're going to deter the United States from coming in here to our area. And that's a strategy, and they continue to develop capabilities to having ballistic missiles that can hit aircraft carriers. They want that first island chain and the second island chain between Japan all the way down to Singapore, basically a Chinese interest area, South China Sea, Sea of Japan, Yellow Sea, denying access to the United States, all our alliance partners. People think about the NATO alliance. We have 5 of our alliances, right, obviously, in the Pacific. So, but in summary, a few, not a problem. And in fact, we have ballistic missile destroyers in Spain, in Rota, Spain, to support the Iranian detect to engage. We have the Aegis Ashore in Romania, for example, to protect different threats coming out of Iran. So same principles here. We can have Aegis Ashore in different countries there to continue to reduce the risk for smaller numbers. Our INW is important. Talking with our adversaries are important. Building confidence with our allies. These will all prevent this type of scenario. So I look forward to seeing the movie and to see how realistic it is. But we do have a missile defense agency. We do have capabilities, and we also have intelligence capabilities that are going to tell us about intent and what capabilities they have. And they'll continue to test all the time. But once it gets in the media, it concerns people.
If you have 17 and a half or 18 minutes mm-hmm. to react to a launch on territories in America mm-hmm. When it occurs, the battle is lost if it's there that you're reacting.
That's correct.
The battle has to be won before that missile's ever launched, right?
Yeah, correct. They call it left of boom. Absolutely. Before it booms on us, we have to be go left of boom to determine capability, to determine where physically it's going to come from. We have to place our forces there, essentially to support the physics of an ICBM launch.
To your point, what you were talking about, go back to Sullenberger landing the aircraft. Yeah, yep. The decision to land on the Hudson was made before he ever took off, and before it was made in training years ago. If this happens, this happens. If this happens, I do this. If this happens, I do that. And the one thing that I've had a chance to sit in and watch some of the flight simulator things where the pilots were doing this. It's like, okay, we're going to give you problems in a realistic format that could happen. If they're going to happen, this is what's going to happen. Here's how it's going to affect it. How do you get out of it? And they train over and over and over again, so it becomes automatic that happens. And then they'll get to the point where, okay, give me stuff I can't get out of. And they do that to keep trying to make it so you can get out of it and, develop strategies around that. Sullenberger couldn't make it to Teterboro, couldn't make it to any of those. The point was made. We're going in the Hudson. It was straightforward.
So let's talk about human nature for a second.
Sure. One
of the things, and again, it's sort of a pop culture phenomena, okay? But you go back in American film culture, the Day After movie from the 1980s when,
Yeah.
when it was regarding the Pershing missiles being deployed in Western Europe. Failsafe, okay, the 1964 movie that we're going to blow up New York because we accidentally blew up
Right.
Moscow. Even Dr. Strangelove
Dr.
in a weird sort of a way,
Yeah.
right?
How I learned to love the bomb.
But there's been others. The Day After Tomorrow. There was another one.
War Games.
War Games, and now with AI.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I think the risk level, the risk assessment has to be up somewhat as a result of that because it's not always humans that are making the thing. Although Dr. Strangelove sort of anticipated AI with their doomsday machine, right?
Yes.
And even the Diplomat on Netflix
Yes.
talked about in their most recent series this season a Russian submarine that was lost in British territorial waters having a doomsday device on the submarine. Okay, well I'm getting too wordy about this, but human nature. The projection that has been made in these movies over the years was Americans have a heart not to use a nuclear weapon. Okay? What about the other side? What have we learned about the psyche of that person who's turning the key in Pyongyang or turning it in Shanghai? What do we think they're willing to do?
Well, you get back to what we used to call rational actors.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at, for example, I like to focus on the Russians in particular,
Okay.
the Soviet Union, more so than China or DPRK. A lot of
Well, they got like 10,000 warheads.
I know, but to hear on the human nature part, Mr. Putin continues to use nuclear. Prime Minister Medvedev also used nuclear as an option of power to communicate fear into the actual alliance. And will he really do it? He just tested a nuclear torpedo.
Not the Skydance thing that they were just talking about the other day.
I don't know that one, Bruce, but looking at a rational actor like Mr. Putin, he's being very clever with regard to how he employs this when he's in a tougher position. It's a little bit of tit for tat. The Chinese haven't done that yet. I think the DPRK is the irrational actor. We just don't know what he intends to do. It doesn't have to be an ICBM either. It could be the proliferation of nuclear weapons themselves. And in the Bush administration, we created what they called the Proliferation Security Initiative with a coalition of the willing ships to interdict. We did interdict some ships out there. So what have we learned about human nature? It's just as it was, I think, during Aristotle and also Plato's time. And I think we have some evil elements within our nature. And if you look at going back to the Russians again, what they did in Chechnya, what they've done in Ukraine, they don't value human life. They think that their goal, the ends justify the means of destruction because it's just too difficult to actually deal with Western democratic ideals. I think the Chinese, looking at the Middle Kingdom themselves and where they're ascending in the Chinese dream and becoming respected again and pushing out the West, and they call us the dangerous entities or dangerous citizens, and they want to. It's the symbol of the dragon itself to push to keep us out of China itself. I think they're more rational when it comes to supporting their economic growth. They have other interests involved because they are China. But I think DPRK is really the wild card. Where not just from the ICBM testing, but we're also going, and they don't want the nation state model like South Korea in North Korea. And they'll continue to test and they'll continue to threaten and bolster. When they're not talking about DPRK, it seems that's when they actually light off a test in the Sea of Japan or when they send an ICBM heading over. So we should continue to prepare to deter, and we should continue to talk. I think President Kennedy said it best. You want to talk, it's better to jaw.
Right. That was Churchill's
Than to
saying as well.
have a possibility of war. So, and President Trump's actually implementing that personal diplomacy.
So we have a few minutes left. Ab, any points you want to make? I have one question for Bob.
Go ahead.
So recently, the Department of Defense changed its name through executive order to the Department of War.
The War Department.
Right, the War Department. And we don't have a Secretary of Defense anymore. We have a Secretary of War.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts? And this question is also for you, Ed. You served in the military. I didn't. You both served there, and honorably. What are your thoughts? Bob, you first.
Well, I think there's a different way you could have done it. I'm a fan of the Department of Defense. It's also by statute called the Department of Defense since Mr. Forrestal and President Truman created it. And the context is post-World War II. We wanted peace in the world. And the United States, on the back of your dollar bill or the back of the Kennedy half dollar, you have the olive branch and the arrows. And President Truman flipped the eagle's head pointing toward the olive branch as opposed to the arrows. I think President Trump.
Did you know that, Ed?
I knew that.
And President Trump.
Of course you would.
That's because we're a Marine and Navy team
of
over
course
here.
You know. Well, and no,
but
that's an extraordinarily important.
It's a subtlety.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so subtle a thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fascinated.
I've actually been into the actual war room where the Japanese presented Mr. Stimson, I think it was, their final point to be made to President Roosevelt before hitting Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. It's right across from my old office up there. But I just think that the president has to work with Congress in order to change it. But I think he could have put out a DEFCON 2. I mean, there's different existing protocols within his communication, and I would recommend that as a national security advisor. You want to do this, sir? You can consider we're at a war, gray zone ward. Warfare has changed because of cyber. We have to be sharper, our readiness. But there's different ways. But he was trying to do it clearly in order to create a mindset. This is a volunteer force, all volunteer force, and very proud, very professional. I think people will see them on the George Washington aircraft carrier, how great our sailors and Marines are, how great our Air Force is, the mission in Iran. But it's a mindset itself, and that's an important thing to carry down the chain of command. And we are the Secretary of War, and it's a fact. So you salute, and you continue to achieve your mission. So I'll leave it to Eb.
I like it. I think it sets the tone. Look, we're no longer in a defensive position. We're here to say, if you mess with us, we're going to clean your clocks. We are going to go to war. And it just lets everybody else know, you do what you want to, but don't mess with us. And it lets everybody in the chain of command know the same thing. I know that under President Obama, there were a bunch of people that got out, because they did not want to serve in that capacity. They don't want to be handing out sandwiches. Now, they don't want to go to war, but they want to know that if they do go to the war, they're going to go there, do the job. It's bloody, it's ugly, it's painful, and then come home. And not have these wars, these incidents carry on and on and on, where it's like Vietnam. They take a hill, then give it back the next day. Take it again, give it back.
So last question, and it's sort of related to what we were just talking about, and also what we talked about earlier with East Asia, the hellscape around Taiwan. Talk about we have about 5 minutes remaining.
Okay.
Talk about the gray battles that are going on and what this hellscape might be if things got kinetic.
China has been increasingly assertive, aggressive, both in the air, violating the air defense zone of Taiwan, and also showcasing their new aircraft carriers, showcasing their Type 52 surface combatants. They circle the islands. They're trying to basically provide their own posture and presence outside the first island chain to the second island chain with Guam. Hellscape is a concept that's actually been developed and being developed for the last 3 or 4 years. The United States has a tremendous capability called the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, which is a joint command. It's out in Hawaii, and it establishes, has under its command all the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Special Forces, cyber, all those elements of services that provide forces to them. Hellscape is a concept which basically underscores the fact that the United States is going to make it hell. The Allied effort, including Taiwan's defense, is going to make it hell for the People's Liberation Army, Navy, their Coast Guard, to actually do an amphibious landing on Taiwan and also power project anywhere near out to a couple hundred miles surrounded Taiwan. The Chinese continue to do bullying, gray zone warfare, as you mentioned, and we want to basically make them think, a rational actor, make them think before they actually do any type of invasion. It would be very, very intense with regard to their surface-to-surface missiles if they used them against Taiwan. But we're going to use drones, underwater drones. We're going to distribute forces. We have Army capabilities. I won't share that with everybody. On the physical area, the U.S. Army has game when it comes to actually using physical land space around that entire area from the Philippines all the way north. Ebno's Okinawa well. Japan itself, looking at air capability, we're going to bring from the Pacific Air Forces, naval capability. So it's going to be a really very challenging operational environment. Submarines, we can op-deck, operationally deceive the Chinese as well. So it's going to be a hellscape. It's going to be hell for the Chinese to actually power project going into Taiwan.
Basically make it extremely painful,
Very painful
for them to do it.
But it also gives the United States an opportunity to flow forces. So just like the Marine Corps is the initial tripwire, you still need to have capability coming in behind to support the good work that the U.S. Marine Corps has done. Same principle. It's like hellscape is like a grand operational capability with undersea. A lot of things have been informed by Ukraine as well, looking at armed drones coming against Chinese aircraft carriers, destroyers. Their submarine force is capable, but not as quiet still. And we have lots of submarine forces that will be in the areas that they would operate in. And another thing that I won't actually say that, but I'll just say that the Chinese would have a difficult time, and it should be in their operational military calculus before they can plan an attack on Taiwan.
So I'll ask a 10-minute answer question,
Okay.
even though we only have about a minute and a half. Why would China do all of that and risk arms, material, forces when they could just as easily have infiltrated the Taiwanese government, its defense capabilities, as well as its civil control, and just one day do a massive coup d'etat because they had all the people they needed in place to basically take over all the forms of transportation, all the forms of communication, all the forms of government?
Well, kind of like what they did in Dearborn, Michigan.
Yes. Why wouldn't I mean that is, to me, nothing gets destroyed. Most of your people in Taiwan don't even know why there's the distinction anymore.
Well, it's like
their grandfathers are dead.
Hong Kong writ large.
Okay.
It's like, taking over Hong Kong, passing a national security law. I would argue that some of that's actually occurred and occurring with regard to the information campaign they have going on. We don't hear about it. We don't speak Chinese, but they bombard Taiwan. They're risk adverse with doing it. I think it's in the Chinese soul. I think it goes all the way back to Mao Zedong. And if you look at what happened with the Kuomintang,
what's in their psyche?
The psyche of all of China. And pushing out the foreign devils. And even though Taiwan was never really Chinese, it was also occupied since by Japan since 1875.
I was in that palace.
But they want to push away the foreign devils. They want to push us in the South China Sea, push us away. So it's the same thing that politically They want to say we're responsible for this, and we're going to do this with Taiwan, even though the United States, major power since Kissinger, since the Shanghai Communique, since 1982, has the Taiwan Relations Act, will defend Taiwan,
Well,
and that's going to come up tomorrow.
The president made some slight adjustments in a way. He should have said anything. I think that it was a mistake for him to suggest that we'd trade some security and economic stuff over Taiwan. I mean, that was not, I think, a very good move for him to make. So,
well, I will tell you this. I believe that under the former presidential leadership, it would have been a very different ability for China to easily take over Taiwan.
Well, the way that they took over Hong Kong in that same period of time.
Right. Trump made it that much more difficult for that to take place. And that now comes down to why did Japan not wage a land battle on the U.S.?
Right.
Everybody had guns.
So if this is an outrageous question, you're going to be very upset with me. Ask you, this is an insulting question. I'll
put my Secretary of War hat on.
If you were the national security advisor to President Xi, would you give him the advice to do that kind of coup d'etat sort of attack on Taiwan versus any type of a frontal attack?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case on that. Captain Bob, it's awesome having you here with us.
Great.
Did you go to Good Company Barbecue while in Houston?
I have. Yes. Great place.
You liked it?
2 thumbs up, 5 stars. The sauces.
It's the best. The best. If you're ever in Houston, Good Company Barbecue and Shepherd.
We're going again next week.
They have a number of great locations there. We're out of time today. We need to run. All of our Inside Track podcasts are available on Live the Dream Media's Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram, and X. Eb?
Hey, thanks for joining us today on Inside Track. Until next Wednesday, when we have another great show planned for you.
We have no idea what the hell it's going to be.
But it's going to be wonderful.
It'll be great.
It's beautiful. Big, beautiful door. Until then, this is Eb Wilkinson.
And Bruce Ash.
Be sure to vote for Janet Wittenbreaker and Jay Tolkoff, and please vote no on that stupid TUSD override, as well as all the other overrides and the new city general plan. We'll see you again in 167 hours.
Yes, we will.
You're listening to Inside Track with Bruce Ash on the Live the Dream Media Network. Now a word from our sponsor.
It's termite season.
Hi, it's me.
And bugs fear the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control.
Go blue at Essential Pest Control. We'll eliminate those bugs, bees, and termites. And stop paying too much to that national provider. Buy local for great service and affordable rates. Call Essential Pest Control because termites fear the blue.
Run for your life.
Call for the blue trucks from Essential Pest Control. 886-3029. That's 886-3029. Or check online at essentialpest.com.
This is Eb Wilkinson with Wilkinson Wealth Management, where we manage money for gun owners. What does it mean to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired? It means designing a plan that allows you to do the things you want to do, outpace inflation, and never run out of money in your lifetime. If you want to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired, call me, Eb Wilkinson, at 777-1911. That's 777-1911 or WilkinsonWealthMGMT.com.
I'm proud to welcome my good friends at Tucson Iron and Metal Retail to Inside Track as an advertiser. Jamie Kipper and her staff are conservation experts. They sell round and square steel tubing, metal plate and roofing materials, as well as new and used steel, aluminum, and stainless steel to ranchers, artists, interior designers, roofers, as well as you do-it-yourselfers out there. Tucson Iron and Metal Retail is open Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail, 701 East 36th Street. Call 520-209-1576. That's 520-209-1576. Or go to TucsonIronRetail.com. Come by and be sure to ask for Jamie. Tucson Iron and Steel Retail,